All right, so now that we finished our last transaction on June 4th, right, we are officially completely done with June 4th. So it is now Wednesday, June 5th, and what did we do here? It says right here we rent a location from landlord properties, okay? Here's the contract number 123654. Here it is. All right, so we rented a little small business building, square foot, 2,500. Okay, for the total amount of $6,000, we had to pay. It's $1,500 per month. We also had a rent deposit, so that was giving us a grand total payment of $7,500. And how did we pay? We paid with a check. Okay, so in this case, right here is proof that a transaction has occurred because we have the copy of the contract that we signed with landlord properties, and these are what has entailed. So now that we have this proof of a transaction, do we need to journalize it? Yes or no?
Yes, because you paid money on it.
Correct. Okay, let's go ahead and verify. How did you pay?
It says you paid with a check.
Yes, it is. Check number 1501. So that means I got to write a check. What did I buy?
Rent. Well, you didn't buy anything, you paid rent.
You paid for rent. What else did you also pay for?
A deposit.
We end up paying for a rent deposit. So let's go ahead and take a look at our chart of accounts to verify whether or not those are things that we have. Now, in this case, how many months of rent did we buy?
1 month in advance.
Well, that's the deposit.
So two then.
Okay.
You paid this month's and one advance, right?
Yes.
June, July, August, and September.
We paid for June,
Oh,
July, August, and September. So this is how many months did we pay in total?
Months.
We paid for 4 whole months, right? So in this case, right, we call that prepaid rent. Okay? So let's take a look at our chart of accounts. All right, we obviously know we have a checking account, so that exists. Now let's take a look. Do we have a rent expense account?
Yes, it's 62,000.
62,000. Now in this case, when we refer to buying things in advance, we call those prepaid, right? We paid for prepaid rent, right? Because we already paid for it, right?
Right.
So in this case, do we have an account that's any in remote similar to a prepaid rent?
Yeah, it's 18,600.
18,600 for prepaid accounts. Okay. What else do we also pay for?
Your deposit.
We also made a deposit. So in this case, we have deposits right here, 18,700. Okay, so prepaid rent is 18,600. 18,700 is the deposits. Okay, so let's go ahead and journalize our transactions. So, okay. First off, let's recognize what we purchased, right? In this case, we purchased an expense, right? Now, did we increase our expense or did we decrease our expense?
Increase.
We increased it. So our first thing we got to do is we got to recognize that we have rent expense. Okay? Rent expense, 62,000 was the account. Okay, 62,000. Okay? We purchased prepaid rent, right? We bought 3 months in advance, right? Because June doesn't count because that's the current month that we are paying for, right? We're in the month of June. So in this case, we purchased 3 months of rent in advance. And we also made a deposit. Okay? And we paid with a check. So did we increase our checking account or did we decrease our checking account?
Decrease.
We decrease. So in this case, this is where we are going to credit our checking account. Okay? Checking is decreased with a credit. Now, let's take a look at my receipt here. Okay? In this case, it tells me that how much was the deposit for?
$1,500.
$1,500. Okay? How much was 3 months of rent?
$4,500.
$4,500, because in this case, if each month is $1,500 per month, I purchased June, July, August, September. That is 4 months of rent that I paid for, right? So in this case, for the months in advance is 1,500 times 3, which is 4,500. So that means for the month of June, how much rent did I pay?
1,500.
1,500. And what is that grand total check going to be written out for?
7,500.
Right? So if I go ahead and equal sum to verify that I had my proper debits, right? I should get a total of $7,500. And is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. Now, in this case, okay, so now we need to finish off your description, right? All right. So, how do I want you to put your description? Let's think about these things first, okay? Who did I sign up this contract with?
Landlord's properties.
We got landlord properties, right? So that is who I dealt with, was landlord properties. Okay? What was the proof of my receipt? What is the proof that I had a transaction?
Your check, so check number 1501.
That's correct. So we're going to talk about that in a second. But what else is proof that a transaction
Wouldn't
occurred?
you use your contract number?
We signed a contract. Yes. Contract number. Okay. Contract number. 1, 2, 3,
1, 2, 3, 6, 5, 4.
654. Okay. All right. Now, any other details you want to put in here? You could say you paid for 4 months rent and 1 month deposit. Right? And now I need to cut a check.
Number 1501.
How do I know that's check number 1501?
Because it says right there.
Did I cut the check yet?
No, you didn't.
Well,
No, you
This is
didn't.
paid.
Yes, because in reality,
This was paid.
it says it's paid by a check, right? And they
Yeah.
verified that they
so
used
that's
check.
a hand check.
But did I?
Wouldn't that be a hand check
gotta
that you
cash the
did
check
because
first.
you had to do it?
Exactly. So, but my question is, did I do it yet?
Well, obviously, on the contract, you had to pay them, so you had to have given them a hand check that you will put in your check register,
Okay.
because you couldn't go back to the office and print a check.
Good. Yes. This is our physical manual checkbook. Yes. But what's your rule of thumb when you cut that check? You need to write the check first. So if I ask you write a check, how do you know what number you're gonna use? In this case, I gave you it because it's on the contract number to confirm that you verified this check. But if I say, in the few scenarios later, right? If I say write a check, how do you know what check number to use? So you need to go to your check register first, okay? Because you need to cut the check first. Because in order for it to be on the contract, you need to write the check. Okay? to confirm that you made a payment to this person, right? You can't just pay them and then verify that your check number is 1501, right? The check number must come first and then you issue that payment. So in this case, that's because that's the receipt. I understand. You can fight me about what that this is proof, right? But the idea here is you need to cut the check in order to get the number first. All right? So in this case, check number. We got to go to our check register. What was the date? What's today's date? June 5th. How much did I write this check out for?
7,500.
$7,500. So in this case, I want this to be in accounting format. Okay. And who did I write this check out to?
Landlord properties.
We wrote it out to Landlord Properties. Okay. And why did I write it out? There you go. You can make your note because in a real real check register that you normally get, that comes from the bank, there's a top slip that allows you to record all that. That's considered a check register. So in this case, why did you write that check? You could say for rent. Okay. All right. In this case, I wanna shrink my windows up so I can make this a little bigger for you guys. Okay. All right. So in this case, now I confirmed I checked number 1501. So therefore, now I can double verify that yes, I ensured I wrote check number 1501. Okay. So there you go. That gives you not only proof that a transaction has occurred, it gives you the source document information to even double back up that this is proof that a transaction actually occurred, right? These numbers aren't made up. The contract number exists, right? It tells you everything that happened with this purchase, right? And you have proof that you paid with a check number 1501. In case for any reason that this landlord decides to say, you never paid me, you have it on your records saying that, yes, I did. I paid you with check number 1501. Okay? So again, this is also to double back yourself up too, because again, in case for any reason that you come into problems with a vendor saying they never received a check, you can back yourself up by saying, yes, I did, and I sent it on this date, and this is the it says you could verify the address and so on and so forth, right? So then again, this will give you, again, another source of information for you to back up your transaction. So now that I have all that information there, my journal looks complete, right? I completed the check register because it needed to be done in order for it to verify that this transaction has gone through. So what step is next?
Put in the ledger.
Yep, we're going to put it in our ledger. So in this case, what did I purchase first? I purchased, in this case, I paid for rent. Okay, so that's an expense. Okay, so rent expense are, okay, it's after purchase. All right, here you go, rent expense. Today is June 5th. Okay, you paid for June's rent. Okay. General journal, page 1. We're still on page 1. How much did the rent cost me? In this case, I journalized it for $1,500. So therefore, you have a debit balance in $1,500 worth of rent expense. Okay. All right, let's see what is next on the list. Okay, in this case, I had some prepaid rent. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that is another intangible asset, right? You may have paid for rent in advance, right? But so you have ownership of the rent space for the next 3 months. Is that something you can touch?
No.
No. So it's an intangible asset. So in this case, it's going to be under your intangible assets, which is going to be in the very last section. So prepaid accounts right here. All right. Today is the 5th. What are you going to put here? You could say paid rent in advance. Or actually, no, let me change that. 3 months of rent paid in advance. Okay? And then you can even add information saying that it's going to be $1,500 per month. Okay? Now, what's so important about this information here? Well, when you go ahead and adjust your books for the next following month, right? So when it becomes July, you do have to adjust this because you will be needing to transfer this prepaid account into your rent expense. Okay? Because again, you made a payment for rent that you made advance payment for 3 months, right? But in this case, because it's not going to be there forever, because once you get to the point where you're actually using the rent for that current month, you need to remove 1 month to go ahead and utilize it as a rent expense, right? We call that an adjustment entry to get yourself ready for the next accounting period, right? So that's one of the things that you're going to need to be doing. So you need to know that every month rent is $1,500. Okay? What's your post reference? We're still on page 1. How much rent, prepaid rent, have I paid for? $4,500 worth, right? 3 months for $1,500 each for $4,500. So in this case, I'm going to just format it here. I'm not going to put the formula in just yet. Like I said, I'm going to do the formula as I go. Okay? So there's the first entry for my prepaid rent. Next is going to be deposits, which is exactly right underneath my prepaid. And what are you going to put? Rent deposit. Rent deposit, right? Which is equal to 1 month's rent, which is $1,500, right? You don't need to put that in there because you're gonna end up putting it in your debit and credit. Okay, so general journal 1 for $1,500. Okay. Right? So last on your list is going to be your checking account. So we're going to scroll all the way up to my checking account. And, right, we're going to go ahead and put in my date. Now, what kind of notes or information that you're going to put in here to represent that you paid something?
I would personally, I would put that I paid June's rent 3 months in advance and a deposit.
Okay. That's a lot of information for that one transaction, right? In this case, what you can also do too here is you can just simply put the check number because that should give you all the information you need, right? Plus, it's going to come out of your check number, right? So when you do your bank reconciliation, are you looking for rent? You're looking for the check number, right?
Right.
So in this case, the check number is a powerful piece of information because that check number, I can go ahead and look at my check register. Oh, okay, I paid for landlord properties. When did I pay for it? Well, if I also verify that this transaction occurred on the first page of my journal, I can backtrack it that way. And right here will tell me exactly. I paid 4 months worth of rent and 1 month of deposit, right? And here, obviously, I'm in the month of June, so that's gonna automatically tell me that I paid $1,500 for the month of June and 3 months in advance and the rent deposit. So in this case, that's what referencing does, it's very powerful. The more information you put, the much easier everything's going to get connected and there's proof of everything, right? So in this case, because I wrote a check, I credited my
Credit.
account for 7,500. So, how much money should I have in my bank account?
16,125.
Excellent. 16,125. Good. And guess what? That's what happens when you do your running balances. I don't actually have to double confirm that, right? Because I typed in that number and it automatically calculated for me. Now, unfortunately, if you make a typo, it will calculate it correctly for you. So be wary that, again, you make a typo, it's going to be way more difficult to find because you wouldn't know what it is until you actually go through all your transactions. So in this case, I for surely know that I paid 7,500, and I for surely confirm with everybody that 16,125 is correct. All right, so that's it, right? I finished my journal, I finished my ledger. Now, in this case, did I deal with a particular person for this transaction? Did I deal with
I
anybody?
I would assume you dealt with whoever was running landlord properties.
Exactly. So this is where you're going to end up posting to your subsidiary ledger, right? So this is where I'm going to pull up my subsidiary ledger because this will further keep track of all your vendors, all your customers, all your employees, right? So in this case, Landlord Properties is a vendor. They provide me service, right? So that's exactly where I'm going to locate them. They're going to be under my vendors list, okay? Now in this case, usually vendors list, they're going to be in alphabetical order, right? So Landlord Properties, let's see. Perfect. I landed right on top of Landlord Properties, okay? Today is June 5th, right? What extra notes are you going to put in here? Well, you can say that you paid 4 months, right, of rent. You could say 1 month is it for expense for the month of June, and I purchased 3 extra months on top of that. You could write whatever information you want to put in here. So in this case, I'll go ahead and say paid for rent for June and 3 months advance and 1 month 1 month of rent deposit. Okay? What else is also extra information that is pertinent to this? Well, did I pay landlord properties? Yes, I did. I paid using check number 1501. Okay? Typo. 1501, right? Triple proof of a transaction. Okay? What was the proof of my transaction? Did I actually receive an invoice?
It would be on the contract that you signed.
Correct. It'd be your contract number, right? Because your contract number lays out what you purchased from this particular vendor. 1, 2, 3, 65654, right? And it also laid the amount that you paid, right? Verify that you paid. Post reference, once again, this is going to be where did you find this in your journal? Page 1. Okay? Did your lender, your rent lender, or your vendor, excuse me, did they give you terms?
You're not getting a discount or anything, so there's probably not any terms on it. It's always due on on the first.
In this case, okay, if we know that much because it's rent, right? We paid on the 5th, okay? So we know that rent is always going to be usually paid on the 1st of every month, okay? But in this case, right, we made 3 months in advance payment. So we shouldn't be even receiving any bills from landlord properties for a while, right? But you can always assume, right, that it's going to be sometime that it's going to be due. So this could be a date driven bill, right? You're going to be at least receiving some kind of bill that confirms that whatever you prepaid has been paid, right? You should be receiving that copy saying that you owe $00 for the month of July, right? So your bills can be date driven. In this case, because this is a contract number, I don't have a specific due date until I receive my very first bill that lets me know that I don't owe anything. That's where you're going to record this. Okay? But I'm recording this one because this was my actual transaction. Proof that I paid something, right? But I don't have any terms, so no discount due date and no actual due date. Okay? Did I have a prepaid amount? This right here, okay, let me explain, because I'm going to explain you how we actually use this. Prepaid amount. Do not confuse this with making a prepaid an account, right? Because what this right here does is, did I make a payment prior to ordering my services with this individual that will and can be applied when receiving my bill? In this case, no, because I made a prepayment for rent, which was included in my invoice. All right? I didn't talk to them prior, I didn't pay them prior. This is me paying now overall. So in this case, no, I did not have any prepaid amounts that I paid ahead of time before paying for the rent entirely. So that's different. We're not looking at prepaid accounts, we're looking at prepaid amounts. Did I make a payment to this vendor prior? No. Okay? But however, what did my contract tell me that I owed? What was my invoice amount?
Invoice amount was 7,500.
Good, right? After all the services that they was listed on that contract, right? It amounted to a total of $7,500, right? That was my total invoice. Okay? Did I get any refunds and returns? No. Did I get a discount? No. Did I pay? Yes, you did. You paid with check 1501. So, how does this formula work here? What's the purpose of this right here? This is to keep track of your accounts payable. What do you owe this vendor, right? And I'm going to show you how I calculate this using Excel, so I don't have to figure it out myself, right? In this case, right, how does this work? Well, in this case, I'm going to do an equal sign, right? First off, I need to start off with the amount that I was originally owed. So in this case, I owe $7,500, right? Which is my invoice amount, right? Things that decrease my accounts payable is going to be any prepaid amounts, right? If I have a credit, it's going to decrease it. If I have any returns or any allowances, will decrease it. If I have any discounts, will decrease it. And lastly, any payments will 100% decrease my accounts payable. So in this case, right now, my current balance is 0. Why? I owed $7,500. I paid $7,500. So I currently owe landlord properties nothing. Now, what if I didn't put the check in here? With that same exact formula, because I didn't pay my vendor, it shows that I owe $7,500. But we know we made a payment with the check, right? So now it is decreased to 0. Okay? So once again, The formula is going to be invoice amount, subtract prepaid, subtract returns, subtract discounts, subtract payments. All right? And that's going to give you this number here. Now, can you apply this to all your vendors? Absolutely. All right? Yes, you can, but for me, I'm going to do it as I go. All right? So, that's my very first one. Because of this contract, I don't owe landlord properties anything. And this is also proof in case the landlord decides to bill me one more time and say, hey, you owe rent for July. I can pull up this contract and say, no, I don't. I already made a payment in advance. And I have proof because I paid you $7,500. So again, this is also a way to also, to save your butt in any occasions where something happens where a contract is being breached. Okay? Again, protecting for yourself, but also proof that a transaction happened, because that's why it's so important for accountants to collect receipts for a reason. Okay? All right. And then now I updated my journal. I updated my ledger. I updated my subsidiary ledger. Now I am completely done with this transaction. All right? Any questions so far? Okay? All right, so now that we're done with this, let's go ahead and we can move on. So let's see, I believe this is the same exact day. What happened here? We end up hiring Kim Robinson to interior design consultation. Okay, Kim Robinson, who is an interior design consultant. Okay, so we hired her to come take a look at our store and give us some recommendations to how we should design our coffee shop. So, is this a transaction we need to record?
Yes,
Why?
because it's a sales receipt. That means we paid out something, or they brought in. We either received or paid out.
In
'Cause
this
it's a sales
case,
receipt.
okay, don't get confused. This is a different
Oh,
transaction.
up there. Okay.
Yeah, we're at Kim Robinson. All we did was just hire
Then, no,
her.
we haven't paid her yet.
Good. We don't
Oh,
even know
we
what
can
she
count
billed
that.
us for. We don't even know what she quoted us for. We don't know how much her consultation fee is going to cost us. We haven't received the bill yet. Right? We don't even know if she came in and did the job yet. All we did was hire her. She could come in the next day. She can come in on Friday. She could tell me, I can schedule you to come in on Saturday to do a consultant. We don't even know when she's even arriving. So at this point, no transaction necessary, because there's not one piece of information that proves that there was a transaction going on, right? All we did was simply hire her. Right? All right. Then let's see what happened next. At least we need to know that we need to look out for Kim Robinson, because she might bill us, okay? So then here, I'm going to go ahead and push this transaction down so we can kind of see it.
Yeah, I thought they were the same thing.
No, they're different, okay? I tried to space them out so then you can kind of see the difference between all the transactions. Okay? All right. So in this case, Bob went to go to the Computers R Us store to purchase a computer system, which is a computer with a printer all together, okay? So here's a sales receipt proving that we went to the store and this is what happened, right? So we bought the computer. It was for $16.95, right? And then we bought a printer, right, for $350. So we bought the heavy duty printer, okay? Because we're going to probably be printing a lot of invoices. Okay, that's what Bob says. So in this case, right, we got charged sales tax. And last but not least, how did we pay?
Check.
We paid with a check. So that means we're going to have to also write another check. Now, in this case, let's answer the question. Since we already figured out we paid with a check, what did I buy?
Computer and a printer.
We bought a computer and a printer. So let's see, let's identify that. What is a computer and what is a printer? In terms of how would we categorize that?
Equipment?
It's equipment, right? Which is part of the PP&E. So it's a fixed asset, right? So let's see, do we actually have a computer and printer in our chart of accounts?
Yep.
Yeah, computer is 14,010 and printer is 14,020.
Excellent, right? Yes, we do have designated accounts for them. So we do have a printer and we do have a computer, right? And of course, we paid using a check. So that we have all the information we need. All right? So it's 6.5, right? We purchased a computer, 14,010, and we bought a printer, 14,020, and we paid with a check, right? So we decrease our checking account. Now, question to you, okay? I wrote a check for $2,213.71. Okay? I can confirm that because that's how much my check amount ended up being. So, if my printer only cost me $16.95 and my printer cost me $350, what do I do with the sales tax money?
Sales tax expense. Wouldn't you?
Well, why would you incur a sales tax expense separately? What did you buy? What did you buy?
You bought the computer and printer. You bought from a retail, another place.
Correct. So you're still paying sales tax to them, aren't you?
Yes,
Okay.
but
Second.
you've got to have some place to put it.
Okay, so
'Cause
second
it was
question.
an expense to you.
Okay. But my question is, why would I pay my tax separate? Now, in this case, second question, what did I buy? We just answered this. How would you categorize a computer and printer?
It's your equipment.
It's your equipment, which is a fixed asset, right? What
Right.
costs are included for fixed assets?
Everything that oh,
You,
Go ahead.
everything that cost us to get the equipment to put in service.
Correct. So because I'm at the store, how do I get it to my store and have it ready for service?
Including paying for the tax
You-
that's on the equipment.
Exactly. In order for you to walk out with the equipment out the door, you need to pay that sales tax. Right? That's the fee of buying stuff in store is you need to pay that sales tax, and if you refuse to, you're not going to bring that computer home. So in this case, that means that sales tax is going to be included to the cost of the asset. Now in this case, all you have to do is plug into the wall and it's ready for service, right? Especially printers, right? You all you do is just power them on, set up the little thing that doesn't cost money, that doesn't cost anything, right? And it will start working right away. Same thing with the computer. All you gotta do is turn it on, personalize your computer, and boom, it's ready to go. So
when you figure the historical cost that goes on there,
that
the journal, you do the tax in the historical cost.
Correct, because this is the
Okay.
cost of the asset, because it's everything that you need to take to get the asset ready for service. In this case, I have to pay that sales tax in order to bring that to my store. So that means I need to find a way. Now, how am I going to distribute $168.71? How am I going to distribute the tax amongst my computer and my printer? Because this right here It's charged based on the total amount. So how am I going to split this tax amongst my computer and my printer?
Maybe I'm wrong, but the tax is 8.25%. So why don't you just take the 8.25% of the like the total, the 1695 and then the 350?
Correct. Because in this case, tax is a percentage. That means you need to prorate the amount for each item, right? Even if you bought them separately, right? You would still incur the same 8.25%, right? Because it's a prorated number. So in this case, let's go ahead and take a little trip to the side of our journal here so we can kind of figure out our numbers here, okay? So if my printer is $16.95 and my printer here is $350, right? Ooh, too big. All right? And my printer is $350, right? I need to figure out how much it's going to cost me for the tax. So in this case, I can do equal round, right? Times the 8.25%, comma 2, right? And I should get $139.84 for my computer. And then if I were to tax my printer, I'm going to get $28.87. Okay? All right? Now, let's take a closer look. Let's add those two numbers up together, right? If I were to add up my sales tax of these two numbers,
It's off
it's
by
off.
a penny.
Yes. So let's do the same thing, but this time let's actually not use equal round, right? So let's actually times them by the actual 8.25% and stretch it out to show me all the numbers that will appear. Okay. So you got 139 8375, and then you're gonna get 28875. Okay. Now, in this case, right, that means, yes, it's true. You need to increase them by what they are, right? But in this case, right, you got 75 of a penny, and then you have 50% of a penny. Which one's actually, where are you going to distribute your actual penny to? So in this case, right, if you have 75% of a penny versus 50% of a penny,
Distribute it to the computer.
you would definitely give it to your computer, okay? If this is too much hard work for you, you can always think of it this one. The higher the sales price is, the more likely you'll get more taxes, right? Because it's prorated, right? So if you don't want to have to think about that and have to look at how many pennies that you're looking at, right? You can take the automatic assumption is because the computer is way more expensive than your printer, you're going to distribute that penny to the computer. So in this case, right, it's going to be 139.84 cents, right? And that means what am I going to do with the printer? Since my printer is at 87.5 pennies, since we already distributed and rounded up for my computer, right? That means my printer is going to be rounded down. So in this case, it's going to be at $28.87. Okay, and then there you go. Now you have the even amount of that 71 cents. Okay, why is this true? Well, in this case, it's because we're looking at combining the two numbers. We're looking at the overall amount of total sales price. We're not looking at them at an individual basis. Okay, so if you were to buy the computer and the printer separately, then you'll have that extra penny of sales tax that you had to pay. But in this case, we're looking at the overall total amount of sales that was for that receipt in grand total. And that's why you're prorating the total instead of the individual products themselves. Okay? So that's something that you need to also keep in mind. This is why that split penny had to go somewhere. So in this case, right? So now I need to equal up my grand totals, right? What is 1695 plus that 193.84? That's going to give me 1834.84. Okay? And then what is 350 plus $28.87? That's going to give you 378.87. So now that I figured out my taxes and distribute them evenly, now let's plug in my numbers, right? I have $1,834.84 for my computer, and I have $378.87 for my printer. And what kind of grand total is that going to give me if I add these two numbers up together? My grand total of the $2,213.71, which is the exact matching amount that is written on this sales receipt. Okay? And that's how you do this. So again, for any kind of product that you have to charge sales tax with, that's what you have to do, especially when you're purchasing fixed assets, because it becomes part of the cost of the asset. Okay? Now that I have purchased those, right, I can go ahead and finish off my description, or if you want to take a second to do your check first, go ahead. So in this case, let me confirm that I wrote check number 1502. Okay, so I'm in my check register. Today is the 5th of June. We wrote a check for $2,213.71. To who? We purchased this, and that means we cut the check out to
Computers are us.
Computers Are Us. Okay? And why did you go to Computers Are Us and pay them? Because you purchased computer, okay, comp and printer. Okay? You bought a computer and printer. Right? That was the reason. So now that I can confirm that I wrote check number 1502, then I can go ahead and finish off my description, right? So in this case, who did I buy this computer system from? We purchased it from Computers Are Us. Okay? What was proof that my transaction actually occurred? I have a sales receipt, right? Sales receipt number 84143. Okay? Do you need to identify that you bought a computer and printer? No. You're already saying that you bought a computer and printer. So in this case, you don't need to write anything more, except for you need to confirm that you made a payment, which is proof by saying I purchased using check number 1502. Okay? So now we are officially completely done with this journal. Okay? I wrote my check already. So what's step number 2? I need to go to my ledger and post it so then I can get a clear vision of how much money I've spent so far, right? Right? I paid for my rent and now I'm paying for a computer system. So let's go ahead and verify. So in this case, first thing that's on my list here is my fixed asset here. I bought some office equipment, right? So in this case, I know right now I'm currently at checking, but like I said, do it in the exact order so you don't mess yourself up, okay? So I'm going to go straight to computers because that's the first thing that's on my journal, okay? So this display shelf, so, okay, here's my computer, okay? Today is the 5th, right? What kind of information do you want to have displayed here? Well, you can say, well, how much did the computer cost you? Well, you purchased it for $16.95. That's what it cost you, right? Plus the 8.25% tax, right? Which yields you $139.84, right? So that gave you your total cost, right, of that 183484. Okay? So again, you can either do the math here or you can just verify that on your journal that is correct. So 183484 is what my actual total cost of my computer cost me. Right? Okay. I'm gonna double confirm that I did put the tax correct. Was it 139.84? Yes, it was. Okay. All right, so now that I finished my computer, I can go ahead and identify where my printer is. Here's my printer. It's about a couple accounts down. Today's the 6th. How much did I buy the printer for? It cost me, the price was $350 plus the 8.25% sales tax, right? Which gave me a grand total of $28.87, right? Okay, so that would give me that would give me a grand total of my printer to be $378.87. Okay, all right. And then let's go ahead and finish up my last entry here, which is my checking account. Okay, now I can confirm that I paid Computers R Us for my computer system. All right, and this one, like I mentioned before, you can just simply add in your check number 1502. Okay, and that's going to, right, subtract out $2,213.71. Okay, which will decrease my checking account to $13,111.29. So let me double confirm. 221371 is my checking, all right, on the credit side. So I have $13,911.29. Okay? So now that I finished my journal, I finished my ledger, I need to go to my subsidiary ledger. Why? Because what if I plug in my computer and it doesn't work? I need to make sure I bring it back to the same store and get my refund. So in this case, I need to keep a track record with the company that I purchased my computer system with for my own personal records. So that means I need to verify that I need to update my subsidiary ledger. So in this Computers R Us, again, subsidiary ledger, it's going to be a vendor because you purchased it from somebody. Okay. And let me see, it's going to be in alphabetical order. So CCC, Computers R Us, here they are. Okay. You purchased it on the 5th. What's your notes? What did you buy? Well, I bought a computer, right? You could put the same information on there, right? I bought a computer for the $16.95, or you could just go ahead and put the overall amount, right? $1834.84, because what happens when you make a refund? You make a refund, you get your tax money back. So in this case, you don't need to separate that because you already calculated the tax for it. And this is what's going to happen in case you do decide to refund one of the two items, or even all of it, then you're going to get all your money back. But in this case, if I were to do separate items, right? If I decided to return my computer, I'm going to get 1834.84 back, not 1695. I get to take my tax money back. So in this case, that's exactly what I can identify is this is what's going to happen. I bought a computer which cost me 1834.84, right? And then of course, I also bought a printer that cost me $378.87, right? If you choose to actually designate the separation, so again, if you said the sales price was $16.95 plus the tax money, then that's up to you. You put whatever description that makes you understand that this is what happened. Okay, and of course, I also paid using check number 1502. Okay, typo. Okay. Post reference, or in this case, what was my invoice number? I didn't get our invoice, but I got a sales receipt, right? And the sales receipt number was number 84143. 84143. So, this is very important that you keep in your books because you need proof that you purchased the computer system. You need to bring back the receipt, okay? Now, some places, I know that they don't do receipts anymore. They'll find some kind of way to have proof, right? They by looking at your information or your ID card and look up your name and be able to find it. But in this case, to help them save time, just bring the receipt. Hold on to it because, again, receipts are very powerful for a business, right? Okay, so in this case, sales receipt number 84143. General journal number 1, right? Terms. Did I receive any terms? No. You paid at time of purchase. So in this case, you're never going to get a terms because you don't owe them any money. There's no opportunity that you're going to be able to take a discount, or you have no bill that you have to pay, right? In this case, you paid at time of purchase, so there is no terms that you need to have. So no terms means no discount due date and no actual due date. There's also no prepayment because I didn't pick out my computer and say, I'm going to make a down payment on this computer, and when I come back for it, I'm going to purchase it. No. So in this case, there's no prepay. What was the receipt invoice amount for? In this case, it was for $2,213.71. Okay? And, okay, did I return anything? No, I just purchased it. So there's no way I'm going to return it. I still have to go to the store, right, and plug it into the wall and make sure that the item isn't defective. So in this case, no refunds, no allowances, no discounts, and did I make a payment? Yes, I did. I paid with check 1502 for the amount of $2,213.71. So once again, how much do I owe Computers R Us? Well, formula is going to be your invoice amount of that $2,213.71. You're going to subtract any prepayments, okay? So a down payment would be considered a prepayment. I'm gonna subtract out my returns and allowances, subtract any discounts, and subtract any payments, and that's gonna give me a grand total of $0 that I owe because the amount that I purchased it at, I paid the exact same amount. Okay, and that means I owe Computers R Us $0. Okay, all right. And that looks like that's it, right? We updated my ledger. We updated the journal, the ledger, the subsidiary ledger. We already updated my check. Anything else I need to do? No, right? In this case, you're not doing depreciation yet, so you don't need to do anything with your depreciation tables yet because, again, that's the end of the accounting period. Did I purchase inventory? No, I purchased fixed assets. So in this case, I'm completely done with this transaction. Okay? And we're going to stop here for today because it is already 4:15. All right? So, any questions so far in regard